All right, hi everyone. If you're new here, my name is Kelly. I own Dogkind. I specialize in confidence building for very fearful, shy, shut down dogs. And today we're going to be talking about some common mistakes that many of us end up making in training just accidentally without even thinking about it, that can really stall out our training and, then our dogs don't build that confidence that we're looking for. Confidence building mistakes, 3 training errors that can stall progress. Who is this for? This is for you if you have a fearful, timid, anxious dog and you've been stuck in your training and you just don't know how to fix it. Now, why isn't your dog improving? There are lots of reasons that could be the case. It's extremely individual to your dog, but a very common issue is that the training that you're attempting to do is actually aversive to the dog. It's unpleasant or scary. And that's incredibly easy to do with these very sensitive dogs, even if you're using food and trying to use positive reinforcement. So we're going to look at some examples of that today. So how can positive reinforcement training be aversive? Well, as you probably know, many things that we do that are normal to us are scary to our very sensitive dogs. And it's extremely easy to pressure these dogs to make them feel uncomfortable just by behaving like a normal human. Oops, sorry about that. So let's talk about 3 common mistakes. Common mistake number 1 is continuing to hold food up for your dog near their face when they don't take it right away. And I have a couple of examples here from students, one from a student and one from my little guy Pancake, who many of you know. This is Buttercup. She is the cutest. And watch what she does when her mom puts her hand down holding a treat. Did you all catch that? So there's one example where mom offers a treat, dog won't take it, and lip lick, head turn away. Those are, Shannon and Julie, those are good catches. It was pretty quick, but you see, she's like, here's a treat, and you think you're doing something nice for the dog, right? And Buttercup's like, yeah, if you could just leave me with my food, that'd be great. And then this is an older clip many of you may have seen before, but that was little Pancake, and this was years ago now, but my husband was trying to offer him this treat. He kind of checks it out and he's like, you know what? No. And turns his head away and does not take the food. Yeah, Lynn, turning the head away is one that we easily either fail to notice or misinterpret as distraction rather than discomfort. Okay, so there's our common mistake that can make the training session or something about the training session aversive to the dog. So what the heck am I supposed to do then? I'm supposed to use food, right? So don't stop using food, but instead of holding the food there, if the dog doesn't take it right away, drop or place the treats on the floor and move your hand away. Moving your hand away is very important. So if we go to, let's see, I think here. So here's our gal, Buttercup. So this is the first one you saw. Then her mom puts the treat down and takes her hand away, and we have a happily eating Buttercup now. And here, again, is my husband trying to feed Pancake. Pancake's like, oh, no, too scary. Moves his hand away. Now Pancake can get the treat. So, of course, ideally, in both of those cases, the treat just would have been placed down immediately and the hand moved away to avoid that initial discomfort. Okay, common mistake number 2. Using food to try to lure your dog towards something scary. And tell me in the comments if this is something that you've done. Probably without knowing it was not the best idea. Okay, I think these are 2 of my examples screwing up. Here's Pancake when I was trying to teach him to be comfortable with the harness. And I have a treat in my hand that is the one that's not holding the harness. And see if you can tell how you might guess that he's not loving where I'm trying to lure him. Lynn says she just did a shake. Yeah, we do it. We all do it all the time. It's recognizing it and then figuring out the ways to work around to find a better option. So I don't know, this is not a great angle, but I'll show you again in the next version. And here's another time where I lured him. I wasn't actually using a treat here. I did a hand target. But see if you can pick up signs of that was really farther than I wanted to go. So what should I do instead of luring with food towards something that the dog doesn't want to go toward, or just into some, to try to distract them from a scary thing I want to do to them? And not that we want to do scary things, but there are times we need to do stuff to care for our dogs, and they don't like it. And unfortunately, this can really break their trust. And so what can we do instead? Instead of using food or something else to lure them, if you can, set up the environment so that your dog is comfortable, and then any sort of movement toward the direction you want them to go in, just like one step, or in the harness example, you'll see just poking the nose through into the harness. Go ahead and reinforce that. And bonus tip, toss the next treat back to safety, back away from the scary thing. Okay, yep, here's me being way too pushy with Pancake, and if you miss it right here, you're going to see him stretching. You see how his back legs are staying put, and he's kind of stretching, but he doesn't really want to go there. And here is a better example. I just hold the thing up. Here, I hold it up after he sticks his little nose through, then I feed him and move the harness away. And here's that, the freak out on the porch. So I offer my hand signal cue. He comes out, boops it, and kind of, whoa, backs away right away. He's keeping one paw on the threshold. And here's a better example. He's standing comfortably inside the threshold. I'm like, great, here, have some treats. Oh, he came out on his own now, and look at his little tail, so cute. So he came out on his own, I give him some treats, and then I'm gonna throw a treat back to safety. I don't try to keep luring him farther and farther. That's a trap that many of us get stuck in, but it usually backfires. So there I dropped a treat, and that was an unintentional lure a little farther than you wanted to go. And then I just toss that next treat back inside. So just to point out again, so here he came out on his own. I didn't wave food around. I just waited to see if he wanted to come out, and he did. So I fed him, and then when I dropped some treat crumbs, see how he kind of stretches forward. It'll be after I adjust the camera here. Okay, so I drop some stuff, and then he kind of stretches and then immediately pulls his weight back away from where he was. So that was an indication that he wasn't really ready to take that extra step off of the doormat. And resetting with that tossing of the treat back to the safe spot, that can really transform this kind of training for the dog. They're getting lots of breaks and getting rewarded for going where they want to go. Common mistake number 3 is, and this is another thing we all do, is say you give your dog a cue or a signal, hand signal, like you hold your hand out for a hand touch, or you say sit, or whatever. Or it's just the context that's the cue for your dog, but they don't do the thing that you're trying to get them to do. And so you try to encourage them. You maybe repeat the cue, you clap your hands, you squat down. And unfortunately, for a lot of our sensitive dogs, and even many dogs who aren't that sensitive, this is, for lack of a better way of explaining it, this is perceived as pressure. Like, they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. And I didn't have I think I had one example of me doing this with the harness. Okay, here I am with the harness, and he could have stuck his head in and he didn't. So I'm like, hey, right here, tapping it with my finger. He could not be clearer in telling me that he does not want to do this. And me continuing to hold the harness up like that and tapping it was unpleasant enough that he eventually just backed away and lay down on his bed. So what to do instead of encouragement or repeating cues? So instead of repeating cues, clapping, verbally encouraging. One thing you can do is wait a little bit, just quietly, and don't stare at them. So quietly staring at them is probably just as creepy as as clapping your hands or talking to them if they don't like that. So wait quietly, kind of avert your gaze just for a short time, like a few seconds, because even that sort of pause in training for some dogs can be unnerving. And then my bonus tip here is to have an easy alternative behavior available that the dog can do if they don't really want to do the thing that you're asking them to do. So instead of sort of being in this limbo of, well, mom wants me to do this, but I really don't want to do it, but I do want the treat. I'm very uncomfortable now. We give them another option that they can do to get the treat. So here's me again, and tell me if you see these nervous body language signals here. And he even wagged his tail. You're like, oh, he's liking the training. He's not liking the training. So if you watch his ear position. Okay, here is an example of having that choice built in. So Piper here is generally unhappy with a lot of invasive handling, amongst other things. And she used to frequently just check out of training sessions. You know, you'd lift up the harness and she'd just leave, or she'd do a couple reps and then she would leave. And this little carrot in the foreground is a cue, a sort of context cue for an alternative behavior she can perform if she doesn't want to interact with the harness. And I'll show you what happens here. So this was a session, I think, where something happened. She wasn't comfortable. I don't know if you can tell, but she's kind of tucking her butt and she keeps sitting, like physically uncomfortable. So here she boops the harness and her mom tosses a treat. But see how she tucked her butt right away? There's something bothering her. And then she does it again. And then when she comes over, she boops the carrot, paws her mom. So we took a little break, and then there she says, okay, I'm ready to come back, but I don't want to do the harness. I'm going to do the carrot. And so after she had the option to do the carrot and get treats, to boop the carrot, now she was willing to come back and re-engage in the training session with the harness. So this is a way of kind of keeping the pressure off instead of just sitting there with the harness being the only option for treats, only way to get treats. She was kind of flustered after whatever it was over here was bothering her. I think she might have had something stuck actually to her rear end, but then she said, okay, I can't do the harness right now. Can I do the carrot? Yes, you can do the carrot. Okay, now I can do the harness. So that has been really helpful for several of my students now, having that low pressure option. Okay, so a lot of these videos, the discomfort might look not that great to you, and the signals are pretty subtle sometimes. And so you might think, well, you know, do we really have to be that conservative? It seems like you could probably just push through it. But the problem is that not only can any of those mistakes make the current training session unpleasant for your dog, which might mean that they just don't want to engage in that session and they leave, it can actually accidentally punish the behavior you're trying to train, like approaching the harness, or even worse, punish engaging with you in training at all, because it's not fun. Stuff happens they don't like, and that is a really common cause I've seen with our really sensitive dogs, of dogs being really stuck and kind of plateauing or even regressing in their progress, is because there are just all these little things in the training that for a dog who weren't so sensitive would not be a problem. But for our dogs, our sensitive dogs, it's enough that it completely derails your progress. Okay, so your action steps, if you choose to take some this week, are try just putting the treat down. If your dog won't take it from your hand right away, don't try to wait them out. Don't lure towards scary stuff. Instead, like I showed you some examples of, see if they can try a little piece of what you're going for on their own and reward that, and then throw a treat back to safety. And instead of repeating cues or clapping your hands or trying to encourage your dog, wait a short time quietly to see if they just need a minute to think. And also have a low effort alternative that they know how to do, like an object target, that they can do to get the treat instead. Okay, folks, if you have not already signed up for the free training this week, How to Teach Your Fearful Dog Confidence, there's the link at the top, dogkindtraining.com/webinar. And this will be a good one for those of you who are either, kind of new to having a fearful dog, or maybe you've had your fearful dog for a while, but they're just really stuck and you're wondering what's going on. So I hope I see some of you there.